This is a panel, it's titled Focus on Local Stories and Solutions. Julia gave us sort of a national look at the kind of 10 steps we're going to move, the 10 steps to our region. I look forward to this panel discussion. These are really significant people in our region and their cities and making a difference every day, but what they have to say about sustainability, I look forward to.
Great, thank you. So we talked just a few moments ago about what does it really take to do this work. And I mentioned how many successes there are in the region. So what we decided to do with this panel is have each of our speakers present on some successes. And because both leading by example in the city and also leading in the community are both important, they are both going to share an example of each. And for each of them, talk about what really have been the benefits to their city, because there have been multiple co-benefits, and what have been the factors for the successes that they've had, how they moved it forward. And then each of them is going to end with a reflection on what the lessons are for advancing sustainability at the local government level in the Inland Empire region. We're going to have each of the speakers talk from 7 to 10 minutes so we could leave time for active questioning. And I will ask a couple of questions if there aren't lots of arms up immediately in the audience. But hopefully this is a time to get down to brass tacks, to get down to the very local. What are you going to leave today to do? What are you going to take away from this conference about something that you can make happen in your local community? So can't wait to hear what those things are. And we're going to start in the same order as on the program. So if you want to remember who's speaking, just look at the program. So our first presenter is Mayor Dennis Michael, City of Rancho Cucamonga.
It's not. I wonder what a Riverside Sustainability Program is. I'm sure Mayor Bailey is walking over here from City Hall. I'm very honored to be a part of this program today. It's a very, very serious topic, a very important topic, not only for our cities, but our state and our nation. In Rancho Cucamonga in 2008, the city launched its Healthy RC program, and it's based on three primary factors: healthy mind, healthy body, healthy earth. And it's absolutely become part of our community's DNA. Today, I'd like to just share a couple of things dealing with the healthy earth, the sustainability, going green, and two areas that we are very proud of in our community. One is the electric vehicle friendly community recognition that we have received from Southern California Edison, and two is our green business recognition program. We have in the city of Rancho Cucamonga 27 electric vehicle charging stations. 10 are owned and operated by the city of Rancho Cucamonga, free of charge to anyone using them at our various city facilities throughout our community. 12 more are at our Victoria Gardens Lifestyle Shopping Center, put in by Tesla Motors. And as a result of that, Victoria Gardens themselves put in another additional 2 EV charging stations for non-Tesla motorized vehicles. Yes, 2 more. So one of the reasons why we found this to be very, very critical is that we see a need for allowing opportunities in our city to have vehicles that are electric vehicles be charged and be able to traverse around our community. And we see a real tremendous economic impact, especially with the Tesla Motors. People traveling from the desert, people traveling from the city of Los Angeles, coming through to go to Las Vegas or to go other parts of the state, can stop at Rancho Cucamonga's Victoria Gardens, charge their vehicles, and along with charging their vehicles, they can realize some benefits of some sales tax revenue from shopping and dining in our community. So it's really been an incredible program. And just to mention I know our staff reached out to Tesla Motors and never heard a word, asking them, would you be interested in partnering with the city and partnering with the shopping center? 6 months goes by, Tesla contacts Rancho Cucamonga, says, yes, we are interested in locating charging stations. It is a 12-station hub in Victoria Gardens, probably the largest Tesla will ever put in, and it's right here in our Inland Empire. The program has been widely successful. It has truly been some great benefits. One is a catalyst for change in our community. Our city council adopted ordinances to not allow people to park in charging stations. We also adopted time limits for them to be parked in those areas. Our building and safety department and the city, when someone comes in for a building permit, we expedite a building permit if someone wants to install an electric charging station in their home. And also we have created environments for developers, incentives for developers to place them by our density bonuses, fewer parking spaces required. So it's really worked out well. So it has also been a tremendous economic benefit, and it also provides 3 E's for sustainability: economics, equity, and environment. The biggest factors for us in the sustainable program was Rancho Cucamonga is going to walk the talk. We're going to set a standard. Our CNG fleet, we have a number of vehicles that are not required by AQMD that are alternate fuel vehicles, and it's worked out very well for us. The next program that we have is our Green Business Recognition Program. That program is designed to recognize businesses throughout our city who go green, that are sustainable companies. We have 5 in our city that have gained that recognition, and there's several more that will be doing so in the very near future. Thank you. Part of that business recognition program is they come to City Hall. We bring them to a city council meeting, as it was mentioned by the speaker earlier. They come before the council, they get recognized, they get stickers for their windows, and it's a very, very successful program. It has provided a catalyst for change. The program has served as a way to engage our business community. Now more businesses want to be part of that. People in our community want to patronize green business locations. And we want to go green, and we believe that our public is demanding it. Excuse me, I don't know what's going on here. We want to widely share the stories. We want to work to achieve the triple bottom line, and that is people, planet, profit. And what we have learned in the program is that there is, our city has started with very small steps. We have spent very little money, very few staff are engaged in it. We have been opportunistic when we've had opportunities, like the electric vehicle charging stations, and it's a low resource intensity. Very few resources are necessary. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Mayor Michael. Really taking steps that are manageable, building support in the community, like through the Green Business Program. Those are great examples, and in the city with the EV infrastructure. So I think our next speaker will be Mayor Pro Tem John Harrison from the City of Redlands, who's also going to share a couple of stories about how do you make this happen.
Thank you, Julia. Thank you, everybody. Appreciate the opportunity to share a little bit about what we're doing in Redlands. As Mayor Michael mentioned, we're taking small steps, but that's the way this gets done, a little bit at a time, and suddenly you'll find you've really made some real progress. A couple examples I want to touch on is one, for example, that you've heard quite a bit about today, and that is the partnership program with the utilities, both the electric company and the gas company. We've been partnered with Southern California Edison now for 3 or 4 years to find those public buildings that we have where we can make improvements to the energy efficiency of those buildings, from simple things like switching out the lights in our city hall and other buildings to replacing our water well pumps with more energy efficient pumps, and a variety of other improvements like that that we have made over the last 3 or 4 years that have really saved the city hundreds of thousands of dollars. And that money is recurring because it's lowering the cost of electric operation. So it's been a big benefit to our city to participate in that program. And I just heard today that our most recent participation with them was an improvement to our 100-year-old library, and I was told today that the check's in the mail, because that's a big part of it. What you pay, you as a city pay the cost up front to do the improvement, but you've done a study in advance with the electric utility to figure out what kind of energy efficiency you should achieve. And if you achieve that efficiency, they repay you a significant amount of that investment that you've made in your infrastructure, and you can continue to keep the revenue that in effect is yours because of the lower cost of the electrical operations. We're just now in our second phase of working with Edison on that effort, and we've done a very detailed analysis now of some of our buildings and really identified where we can make the best savings. An example we're hopefully going to work on soon is switching out a lot of the equipment at our wastewater plant, which has the potential of saving several $100,000 a year in our operating costs for our wastewater plant, which is a substantial savings to the city and to the ratepayers in Redlands, where we're about to talk about a rate increase there, so it'd be good to talk about how we're trying to also be efficient. And in that second study, we're now working with the gas company as well to look for places that we can make improvements in our use of natural gas as a heating source throughout the city. The second project I thought I would mention is our kind of a broad range of things we've been doing related to active transportation. We've done a couple of efforts at a regional scale and some stuff very local that are, I think, really paying off in terms of creating an active transportation network on our city. We've been working with the Santa Ana River Policy Advisory Group to work on the completion of the Santa Ana River Trail all the way up to Redlands. This has been a 3-county, 11-city effort to collaborate on making sure we all work together to achieve this trail, which ultimately will be 70 miles of paved trail all the way from Redlands to Huntington Beach. We're within just a few years of having that done. And why is that important to Redlands? 2 things. One, certainly the recreational aspects of that trail are very important. But second, that trail passes right near some of our major employment areas. And we have many people already that commute to work on their bicycle. Now they have a Class 1 route where they'll be much safer as they commute to work every day of the week. Related to that trail, we're building our own Class 1 trail through the middle of town, following an old rail alignment and working with Sandbag, our regional government, on that, so that eventually we will have a 9-mile segment of the Santa Ana River Trail and an 8-mile segment of the Orange Blossom Trail within a few years. We're just a little bit short of having our location for our Redlands Marathon in the not-too-distant future, so we're looking forward to that very much. That is part of it. It's part of it can be part of our economic development, because long-term, we're looking at this not just for the transportation and active recreation, but tourism, because that kind of tourism is very important in the city of Redlands. The other aspect of the active transportation is we've tied in our bicycle lane work with a program we call Paris, which is a program to repave about 60% of the streets and cities in our city. We worked with the community to identify that there was a relationship between the impact of our solid waste trucks on the quality of our paving. We were able to increase the solid waste rates to pay for the repaving of about 200 miles, about 400 lane miles of streets in the city of Redlands. As that program's going along, it's now a very small increment of funding to add the bicycle lanes, Class 2, and also as the other kind of Class 3 kind of markings that you put on the street for bicycle safety. And even in just the year that we've been doing that, the amount of bicycle ridership in town is dramatically increased. You can see people and their families riding bikes all over town. We now have people leading bicycle trains to the school, so making sure the kids now can ride their bikes to the school in a safe manner, taking advantage of this kind of resource that we put in place in the city of Redlands. And it's a big part of what we see as important sustainability efforts for our city. And I would just wrap up with our climate action plan. We did not have a budget to create a climate action plan, so we formed a volunteer committee of citizens who had expertise in all these different areas of sustainability. And we use the Institute for Local Governments framework as of the 10 categories there as our best practices. What were the practices that they had that we could apply, and which ones did not work, and which ones would be new things that we should add. And that gave us a strategic plan to follow. Now we're in the process of implementing the STAR Communities Index so that we can begin to measure the results of the work that we've been doing for the last several years and going forward. So with a very limited amount of resources, we've basically laid out our strategy and are following these different programs that we're now implementing to step by step make Redlands a more sustainable city. Thanks a lot.
Thank you so much for that, Mayor Pro Tem Harrison. And actually, it reminded me what you said about the active trans. Another really great opportunity is to start to embed every time you're going to make an investment decision to ask the question of, what else could I do to make this more sustainable? And I think that idea of adding the bike lanes to the paving projects that were going to happen anyway is a great example of that. So I'd now like to call up Rob Field, who's the Executive Director of the Riverside County Economic Development Agency. Thank you, Rob.
Thank you, and good afternoon. Yeah, the county, it's kind of funny. The county's in a little bit different situation than the cities, of course, because we're a regional body that has a great deal to do with just about everything, and yet in some respects we don't have jurisdiction in cities. So it's incumbent upon us really to lead by example. And I think we actually do a pretty good job of doing precisely that. I'm going to give a couple of examples. The county just recently signed a deal with a company called Optera. Optera may not be familiar to you, but their predecessor, Chevron Energy Solutions, might be. We are going to be, by the end of this year, the largest solar power producer of any county in the United States. We'll be producing over 15 megawatts of power through county-owned solar facilities located at county facilities all across the county, primarily in the territory that's served by Edison. The cost savings that we're projecting, this is sort of a conservative estimate, minimum of $120 million over 30 years for county taxpayers, which is a pretty significant return on an investment of zero. We're actually not putting any money into this at all. Optera bears the entire cost and risk. We just reap benefits. We're also going to be, through that, as a result, we're going to be reducing greenhouse gas emissions by over 13,000 tons. And we're going to also be reducing demand on Edison's grid on a constant basis, especially in times of peak power demand. These facilities essentially serve as peaker plants. It's a great example, too, I think, where we're doing something through a public-private partnership. This is not something, as I said, where the county had to invest anything. We're just simply providing the facilities that are necessary to install these facilities. One of the things we don't do very well, though, I think, and that's one of the great things about this opportunity, is to tell the story. And it's one of the things I think we're going to be concentrating on more as we go forward. Our staff right now is, in fact, in the process of developing a sustainability plan that will give us a mechanism, a vehicle, to tell these types of stories. Julia, you mentioned this earlier during your presentation. We actually read your book, by the way, so thank you. It's really an important component. We can lead by example all we want, but it doesn't really serve a purpose if we're not letting people know how this is actually functioning. So we're going to be engaging in that process right now. The county has a lot of different departments that are engaged in this. As a matter of fact, the county's Transportation Land Management Agency, which runs the county's general plan, county's Department of Public Health, the county's Waste Management Department, and of course the Economic Development Agency. One of the great things I think about sustainability is it really is a great tool for economic development. Every time something comes out, a regulation changes or something else, yeah, it can create a burden, but it's also an opportunity. There's a company out there, or multiple companies, who will jump on that bandwagon. They have to develop a technology, and they'll be able to sell it. And so through our efforts, we're going to do precisely that. We're going to integrate sustainability into our approach to economic development. Another example, though, of what the county has done, in 2006, we developed and implemented a model water efficiency ordinance. This ordinance applies to all development in the unincorporated areas of the county, but the model ordinance has also been offered up to and adopted by several cities in the county. Now, it was done in 2006, which was 4 years ahead of the state mandate to provide this type of an ordinance. And it has been extremely successful. Again, on the county end, it's saved the county taxpayers money because we, as the builder of county facilities, are required to adhere to it. We've reduced water use by over 20% in county facilities. But it also serves as a guide and a requirement for developers who are doing business inside the county. And as we'll all recall, Riverside County has long been one of the fastest growing counties in the United States. Not all that development has happened in cities. A lot of it has happened in the unincorporated areas like French Valley or even the High Grove area where their development is starting again. So this is truly impactful. So it's a requirement that provides a public benefit through both the development of public facilities and through private sector development. In addition to which, the county also has developed, some time ago, I think in 2008, we implemented a requirement that all county buildings be LEED certified. Matter of fact, the county just completed a facility in Indio, which is the first county-built building that achieved LEED Platinum status. The building is a model, again, that we can show off to people and demonstrate the actual benefits to the community of engaging in this type of a development program. The building has enough solar capacity to provide over 40% of its electrical requirement, which in Indio, as you can imagine, especially in the summertime, is a considerable demand. So yet another example, I think, of what we can do. But again, we need to do a better job of letting people know what the benefits are of following this type of a policy. We've shared it with some of the cities in the Coachella Valley in particular. Not everybody's adopted it yet, but it won't be long, I don't think, before folks will see the benefit and, in fact, start following those similar guidelines. Our policy is a model, again, that we've provided to jurisdictions all over the place to follow in development of their own facilities. We also, it's important to point out, Riverside County has long been a global leader in providing space for renewable sustainable energy. Everybody knows about the iconic image of Palm Springs as you drive out to Palm Springs now is the windmills. Well, those are almost all in county jurisdiction, and we've been permitting those since the 1970s. So this has been a long-term investment of county resources and county property in sustainability. We also have the largest solar generating plants in the world. Matter of fact, one of them just opened, generates over 500 megawatts near Desert Center. That is making a huge contribution to the governor's goal of having the state of California generate 33% of its power through renewable resources. But there are also a lot of facilities that are available, such as geothermal and other technologies that are being developed very rapidly in this county. In fact, at the Salton Sea, we found that apparently the largest and purest source of lithium, mentioned Tesla earlier. Tesla uses lithium to build their batteries. Well, they're going to be sourcing a lot of their lithium, we suspect, from those facilities in the Coachella Valley. The lithium is extracted as part of the geothermal power generating process, so it's a multiple use of a very important resource. We have a lot of hydroelectric facilities, biogas and fuel cell facilities located at county landfills. You go on and on, but the county of Riverside has been engaged in this for a very long time. Best kept secret around. So I'll close by saying, again, we're going to do a much better job of explaining to people what we are doing. We'll do a better job of telling the story. We'll be developing YouTube videos and all kinds of other publicity stuff to get the word out and let people know. You can get buy-in, I think, as you mentioned, if people know what the benefits are. It's important to business to understand what those benefits are, and they will come and partner with you. We're already seeing some of the benefits, and we expect to see more. So, thank you.
Thank you, Rob. And yeah, I just want to reinforce the last thing you said about communicating what you're accomplishing. Because again, as I read through the various plans from cities in the Inland Empire and started learning more about what was going on, you know, before I started reading stuff and I was invited to come out, I thought, well, probably I'll find there's not very much here and people are just getting started. And that just wasn't the case at all. But communicating about that gets you credit, builds public support, and measuring the progress that you're having really also do the same thing. Gets you more public support, more recognition, and so I hope over the next few years as it will become easier to do that kind of measurement. I did want to mention one other thing related to what Rob said. There are cities that have really driven their sustainability initiative off of their economic development department. Obviously, San Jose is an example, San Antonio, where really we don't want to hear about anything if there isn't an economic development opportunity. And they've been really successful in advancing sustainability in that way. But now you're seeing more and more cities, cities like Portland. Probably a weakness of their work was it didn't look enough at economic development, and they've tried to completely turn that around. And as they came out with a major energy efficiency initiative, really tried to build the sector as well. And they have built up a green building cluster now in Portland, which is going around the country consulting with other cities. So missing those economic development, who wants to leave that kind of thing on the table? So what I'd like to do now is, Mayor Bailey, oh, so glad that you're here.
I made it.
Well, what I would like to do now is to introduce Mayor Rusty Bailey from the city of Riverside, who's gonna close us out with 2 more stories of success and benefits and factors for success. Thank you.
So the future of cities is that the mayor is going to be late. Actually, that's the present of cities. I apologize for my tardiness. I had a hard day yesterday as well. I was supposed to be up in Sacramento for Atlantic Monthly's Bold Bets California on the Move conference, and I never made it. I wasn't on the move. I made it to Ontario Airport, onto a plane, off a plane, back to my office, and I phone called in. They were gracious enough to allow me to do that. So I was on the move yesterday and today again on the move. I apologize for being late. I'm excited to talk to you about, do we have the slides? Do you have the slides or no? Okay, no slides. I have the slides here. So I'll talk about 2 projects that we're proud of in Riverside, and I have to give credit. I know Professor Loveridge is in the room, Mayor Emeritus here in Riverside, who was around when these projects started, and for the most part, with him at the helm and his consistent effort, Riverside has changed course dramatically, and so we got to appreciate his leadership when it comes to being clean and green. That was the term back in the 90s, right? And now it's the sustainability buzzword that we're using. So in 1994 is when we truly began efforts to retool, regreen our fleet. Alternative fueled vehicles in 1994, I believe, were 0, right? And today, the percentage that we have, and we have the greenest fleet in North America, by the way, 92% of our fleet is clean, including hybrids. And this is not counting public safety, right? So 72% of the fleet consists of alternative fuel vehicles, but 92% of our fleet is truly green and clean. And there are several platforms that we use in the city, CNG, compressed natural gas. In fact, we just used one of our buses in our community services department to give a tour to a delegation that will be taking over this room, I believe, tomorrow, bi-national conference between Mexico and the United States, our sister cities. And so we had our sister city from Coautla here, and they were very intrigued about our green fleet. I talked to them about the CNG buses that we use and that we use today to take them around. Propane, hydrogen, electric vehicle charging stations, 112 hybrids, 6 plug-in hybrids. So we have an incredible array of fueling platforms, as well as several. Let me get to my. The CNG, the Courtyard is focused fully, or excuse me, city opened first public access compressed natural gas station at the corporation in 2004, and 2006, city was selected by SCAG, or excuse me, I'm losing it, by Air Quality Management District to build a public access hydrogen station and convert 5 Toyota hybrid Prius vehicles to hydrogen. So I love the story that Mayor Loveridge talks about in terms of the regional air quality issue, and this is truly, I think, the catalyst behind why we went to a green fleet. He was flying in to Los Angeles and then to Riverside on a helicopter and to interview for his job at UCR, and there was a smog layer, right? And it, hard to get through in a helicopter or any vehicle. And so from that day, again, Riverside truly has seen the growth of our clean and green fleet. Sorry. And it took that regional effort. We got to give AQMD credit. It took that regional effort. It wasn't just our city that created, the basin and the air quality that we have today. It was truly a regional effort that did that. And Riverside, leading by example, I think is truly what I want you to take from, at least this model and example of having a green fleet. And it's something you can start with today, right? One vehicle at a time, one truck at a time. From our efforts in greening our own fleet came the private sector. So you think of government and its investment in public infrastructure as a catalyst, whether it's the federal government through NASA or whether it's Riverside through our green fleet. It encouraged that private sector investment, and we have, I think it's the Eco Center, the largest green energy electric auto dealer in Southern California, if not the country. Is he here today? Where's Ramon Alvarez? So we bought a couple of Zap cars from Ramon, and they are fully electric vehicles, and they're running around Riverside right now. And so what we can do in the public sector translates to investment by the private sector. We've gone into a policy of also providing rebates, right, for individuals that want to go out and buy a clean vehicle. And so we incentivized through our auto dealers the ability for our own residents to go and to encourage them to be clean and green. How much time do I have? 5 minutes. Should I transition to the other success story that we have? All right. The tree story. Okay. RPU has been good enough to truly lead this effort through, again, a rebate. And it's simple to do, right? We're talking about scalable projects. We're talking about emphasizing replicable projects. And this one started 10 years ago, 10 years of tree power, 100,000 trees later. Those trees, if you lined them up, would go to Vegas and back, right? Would go all the way to Sacramento. Maybe that's something that we should do for the state to encourage them and tell our story about our success. And it's so easy. RPU sends in the mail this rebate. You take it as a resident to a partnership, again, public-private partnership with our local nurseries, and they hand you a tree, right? And if you want a tree that's a little bit bigger or a little bit older, then you have to pay a little bit for that. But 100,000 trees later, the effects are, let me see here. The effects, where is that? So the amount of energy saved by just 60 trees could power a Riverside home for an entire year. Right? After 10 years of tree power, that's a few homes. If planted canopy to canopy, the tree power would cover more than 17 of Riverside's 81 square miles. So we truly have an urban forest in our city through public utilities partnership and the public benefit of taking those trees and, of course, planting them close to, in proximity to your house, right, to provide that shade. They're shade trees. But I know that some people choose to focus on their citrus and continue that tradition that we have of the navel oranges. Let me see here. That started out of a task force, right? Mayor Leverage was famous for task forces. Riverside's Clean and Green Task Force in 2006 became what we now have as what we call as the Green Accountability Performance. And that's basically a green action plan. And every so months we get back together and keep each other accountable on the performance of the city as it relates to being clean and green. So that's something that you all can take away with and start tomorrow. A task force, a committee, whatever you want to call it, looking at the assets that you have. Number one for us, our public utility, our universities, our historic and vibrant downtown, our community spirit, bringing those things together is truly what has taken Riverside to the next level as it relates to sustainability and being clean and green. I'm truly proud to be the mayor and to take some credit for this, but it truly has been a community-wide, stakeholder-driven process that has got us to this place. There was a group called the Green Gang, not Green Gain, not the disease or the condition that you might get for working in the rain, but the Green Gang. Is there any Green Gang members in the room? I know Bill Workington, a famous architect in town, and that kind of morphed into this Green Action Plan and Green Accountability Performance Committee. I see Guru Mantra's here. I know he's been a part of that, and so I just want to encourage you as elected official, as the mayor of Riverside, we can all do something, right? And whether it's taking an example of the green fleet that we have in Riverside, or whether it's working with a partnership, your own utility, or whether it's Edison stepping in the private sector with your nurseries, coming together around a table, looking at some of the issues and problems that we face as a city or as a region, and being creative about those solutions. It seems simple, right? Free trees, but the impacts are incredible, and we've received awards for those impacts and for those programs, and we continue to support each other, both in the public and private sector, and so thanks for WRCOG putting this on for UCR. I appreciate you inviting me, and I look forward to some conversation, hopefully. Are we going to do some more questions and answers here? Okay. Thank you all.
Mayor Bailey, I really liked what you said about building on the character and values and strengths of your community, which is a great starting point for anyone. So I want to see if there are any questions for the panel. Yeah, we have one right here.
Hello, my name is Norberto Perez. I'm with the Box Springs Mutual Water Company, a private nonprofit company in Moreno Valley. And today we're dealing with the problems of decades past with the overload of nitrate in the ground source where we pump water for the local community. So I understand a lot of these problems are long-term. And you touched on building constituency and building momentum. And I always thought in this country, when we want to change something, we start at the education system. Is there any way that you're going to implement this action plan and then a measurable action program in schools so that we don't have to indoctrinate a generation of suburban drivers, but rather build a philosophy of sustainability?
It's a great question. Does anyone want to take it in terms of bringing sustainability into the schools, educating about the environment?
Back to our competitive advantages in having a public utility that we own, we have a teacher hired and funded by public benefits to go out in the classrooms and do just that, to teach. I think it's at the third grade. Where's Ryan Bullard? Is it third and fifth grade? Okay, all the way at elementary school, and then of course they go out to public meetings and have plenty of material to inspire the next generation of Riversiders, or leaders in Riverside, to think sustainably, right? And that's, I think, as an educator myself, it's natural for them. Talk about being digital natives, talk about being sustainability natives. You don't have to say too much to them before they catch on, and you have your daughters coming home and turning off the faucet, right? Brushing their teeth. Simple things. Turn the lights off if they come out of the room. And so, we're just blessed with the public utility and to have an educator on site to be able to do that for us.
Does anyone else want to?
Just a comment. When you think about it, those of us that are adults, it's really hard to change some of us in our habits. But truly and honestly, through the educational process is where change will, I believe, truly occur and begin occurring. And if you can only go back to when we were all told that we need to start recycling products in our homes. And it was the children that were coming home talking about that. And the children actually is doing that. Then the parents gained some intellect from that and now it's become a practice we all do. I think the same thing can apply with sustainability. In the classrooms at very young ages, talking about green kinds of activities, sustainability, because truly and honestly, it's in our educational system that change will ultimately occur.
I just wonder for the audience, if you have children, could you raise your hand if you have had a teacher in your life who has talked about environmental issues in any way? So, you know, a pretty good number, at least 10 or 20 raised their hands. I think if you don't have the funding for a teacher, you can find those teachers who already are doing the work and figure out how you can support them and help them to do more, train other teachers, have materials they didn't have. So it sounds like there are some assets already there to do even more around education. I'm actually really excited about this
Julia,
regional.
I was going to mention one of
Oh
the,
yeah, oh please, John, go ahead. I'm
one
sorry.
of the things that we've done along the lines, a little bit of Riverside, is we have our own water utility, and every year we have a competition among the third graders, I believe it is, who can design the best label for our water bottles to show a message about saving water. And we give them a prize, and they get to come to the city council meeting. So we get 100 or more submittals of these drawings, and the mayor will select the best one, and we honor those individuals. And as was said, that results in that child telling the parents to turn off the water when they brush their teeth or what have you. And it's been basically a no-cost program to get an awareness of water conservation and water quality.
It's a great example. We've got another question over here.
Nancy Carroll, this is actually a question for both the mayor of Redlands and also the mayor of Riverside. I'm part of a committee that's in phase 1 of trying to do a bike project where we promote biking tourism between different communities that are connected to ours. And one of the major issues that's of great concern to us, because we are in phase 1, is it just seems like a huge obstacle right away in getting all of that done and getting the different organizations to cooperate. And part of that also actually is we're talking about planting trees along the way for shade and stops and things like that. So do you have any suggestions on how to get together with the different communities when you try to do something like a big bike path for tourism and recreation?
Well, as you know, Redlands has had the Redlands Bicycle Classic now for about 30 years, in which we invite competitive teams from all over the country to have the races there, and then there's also community races. So that's been how we began to put Redlands on the map as a bicycle community. That helps us locally, but it's not addressing your issue of joining people together. One thing I would suggest, if you aren't already connected with the Inland Empire Bicycle Alliance, that you do connect with them, because they have some very talented individuals that can help you identify that program. And lastly, it really is a matter of getting the staff within these cities to talk to one another. I remember a few years ago trying to coordinate the mayors in the east part of San Bernardino County, made a map of all the trails, so you actually had, for the first time ever, a map that showed how all the trails aligned or didn't align between the abutting cities. Having that map then gave you a basis for discussion to improve that connectivity. And it's really, with mapping systems that are available now, it's not that difficult to accomplish. Perhaps working with someone like, whether it's WRCOG or Sandbag, who have a regional plan as well, that may be also be a platform for beginning to launch where are the routes, and then you can begin to talk about points of connection between communities.
And it's the right time to do that because of some money coming from the federal government and the state government for active transportation. But I think it goes back to start with advocacy, right? And building the numbers up, because that's what elected officials tend to listen to is numbers. And so if you, for example, I do a bike with the mayor every other month and try to build that core group of advocates to bring their families, to encourage them to come to city council on their bikes, to speak about the need for more bike lanes or safer streets, complete streets. But we also have an incredible asset at the next level called the Santa Ana River Trail, where you know, that's why we get together between 3 counties and another 11 cities. We have that common ground. So finding the common ground to be able to build the advocacy you need, to take it to the elected officials to access those resources. And you can do that small, or as we've scaled it up, and we just recently received from the state, I think through
3.4 million.
Yeah.
The next phase of the Santa Ana River Trail funding to take it from now San Bernardino into Riverside, and hopefully next year all the way through the Redlands, and from there all the way through Redlands is coming along, and it's because of working together. That platform, the Policy Advisory Group, would be also a good way to connect. We have meetings every 2 months. It's a public comment period. If you want, give me some contact information to you. I can get it to our senior consultant, if you will, and she can make sure that you're aware of the next one, and just might be a great topic for us to discuss. How do we begin to build that bicycle tourism and collaboration?
I just want to end by saying there is no doubt that this panel and the people in the room can make it so, and we look forward to seeing it happening here. So thank you, all of you, for the great stories.
Thank you. Thank you.